What's up, everybody? So, welcome to Whiskey is Swag, where I review scotches, bourbons, Japanese whiskeys, ryes. I love all whiskey. I'm a fan. And today I've got a very interesting one. So I have an independent bottling from Dalmore. This independent bottling is from Duncan Taylor Scotch Whiskies. This is their Dimensions collection. This is a 15-year aged Dalmore, aged exclusively in bourbon. I believe it was bourbon hogshead, and at 53% ABV or cask strength. So I'm gonna be honest. So this is what Dalmore's typical bottles look like. I don't like Dalmore. I don't think they're a very good distillery. I just feel like for someone like me, who is a fan of Scotch, that's just not their audience. Like, they seem to be targeting, like, I don't know, some rich finance guy who just wants a cool looking bottle with the stag on the front and all that. But, you know, I don't know. I think what turns me off from Dalmore is a lot of the specs. Like, they do chill filter, they artificially color up the wazoo, and caramel coloring is kind of controversial in the Scotch world. The claim is that it doesn't affect the flavor at all. However, I've never done the side-by-sides myself, but I've watched a few YouTube videos where people will blind side-by-side whiskey with caramel coloring and whiskey without caramel coloring, and they can almost always tell. So I subscribe to the theory that you can tell and that it does affect the flavor. And therefore, I just don't like it when whiskeys overdo it. I actually went to a Dalmore tasting a few months ago where we did the 12, 15, 18, and Portwood Reserve. I don't know, something about their signature just doesn't hit me very hard. It's just kind of like boring. I don't know, it's just kind of a boring Scotch. Like, even the 18 was just like, whatever. It was okay. It was light, it was citrusy. But I really do think they're going with branding. And you know, like, that's kind of the path. Sorry, I'll stop this rant soon, I promise. But like, that's kind of the path that I think Macallan went down. But at least in my opinion, Macallan can kind of back it up. Like, Macallan's got some good shit. Like, Macallan Rare Cask, Macallan 18, these are like 4.5 out of 5s for me at least. Whereas the Dalmore 18, it's like I gave it like a 3.25. It's just not as good. So I feel like they can't back it up. They don't actually have the background that Macallan has. So I don't know. I don't like the brand. All that to say, everything I list about why I don't like it kind of has to do with the brand practices, you know, chill filtering, coloring, etc., watering it down. So I'm just very curious, like, what the hell does an independent bottling of Dalmore taste like? And if you don't know, an independent bottling basically means some other company buys up some whiskey from Dalmore, sticks it in their own barrel, ages it however long they want, and then resells it. And so the beauty of an independent bottling, it's almost like a single barrel in bourbon, where the whiskey is coming exclusively out of a single barrel, usually, at cask strength, no chill filter, no coloring. So you're really getting this raw representation of the spirit. So, with all that said, I'm kind of curious to figure out what the hell Dalmore actually tastes like. And I think this is the best way to do it. Now, I do have a pour of the Dalmore 12 Sherry Cask Select as a comparison to see if I can even tell the commonality between the distillate. So, let's put this on the nose. Oh, wow. This smells really good. Oh my gosh. It's like mango, vanilla, biscuit, tad bit of like salty brininess, but not a lot. You know, I don't think this is peated. So far on the nose, this reminds me most of like a Kleinlich 14, something like that, like kind of a bright bourbon casks, fruit forward, vanilla, sweet. Oh, man. That is a truly enjoyable nose, and I'm just gonna sniff the Dalmore 12 Sherry Cask right now as a comparison. That smells nothing like it. Now, obviously, this independent bottling is a bourbon cask, and Dalmore's typical signature is sherry cask, so it's not really apples to apples, but wow. This is really a different representation of Dalmore. All right, I'm going to stick it in my mouth. It's the first sip of the day, so I might need a little primer here. Ooh. Oh, man. God, that's so much better than the shit they release under their own brand. That's actually pretty good, man. All right, so first sip. Main word I've got is like juicy. That's like a rich, sweet, juicy, just nice, balanced. A little bit of alcohol bite. It is 53%. This ain't nothing. That was a nice first sip, man. That's an alluring nose too. This is exactly what you want from a bourbon cask. I feel like sometimes when you try a bourbon cask scotch, it's a little too mild. And sometimes it's this rich, juicy, like vanilla juice fruit expression. And that is what I want from a bourbon cask scotch. And that is what I'm getting here for sure. That said, yeah, like what the fuck about this is Dalmore? Like it's just so different. It's got a little bite though, I'll be honest. I think the bite makes it so balanced. This is great. That's good. I think if you see an independently bottled Dalmore, like it's worth a shot. Now, let's actually try the Sherry Cask 12 Select as a side-by-side to see if I can find a commonality, but I think the cask is gonna just throw it off entirely. It's not a terrible nose, the Sherry Cask Select 12. It's definitely got that chocolate raisin Sherry Cask vibe, very down the middle, very artificially colored. That's the other thing. Macallan, sure they've got the same vibe going with the brand, but Macallan doesn't artificially color. So, just saying. It does nothing for me, man. I love a sherry bomb, but this just ain't it. You know what I'll say these do have in common? There is a dryness to both of these. Like I mentioned, like there's a bit of a bite to this IB. And I think what I really mean is like, although it's juicy and fruity, it's kind of dry at the same time. Like it's juicy fruity at the front of the palate, and then the finish is actually quite drying. That is true on this Dalmore 12 Sherry Select as well. I would say these are both pretty dry finishes. So maybe that is kind of the distillate signature. I just want more from the Sherry Cask Select. Like it's not chocolatey enough. It's not sherry enough. Like they artificially color it to make you think it's such a heavily Sherry Cask thing, but it doesn't taste like it. It's like the appearance doesn't actually match the palate. So. It's so balanced. I'm gonna remove the salty brininess from my claims. I think it doesn't have that. I think that's something you get in a Clynelish 14 that you don't really get here in this Dalmore IB. I think that bite makes it very interesting. So, anyways, I think this is really, really good. I think this is really comparable to Clynelish 14. If you don't want to fucking ball out on these IBs, because these are kind of expensive, try Clynelish 14. Those are the fucking shit, man. Those are a really similar flavor profile, but maybe with a little extra. I think the Clynelish 14 also has a tad bit of peat, a tad bit of this salty brininess, but it's a similar vibe for sure. I'm gonna give this a 4.25. Thanks for watching.